This is the RED Business Development Mastermind for October 2021. And if you believe it, we have only one more to go this year because I graciously just gave everybody December off, including myself. So we've got one more session this year. Have talked to a couple of people who are planning to carry this forward into next year. It's in process, so things might tweak a little bit. But anyway, if you're interested in continuing these kinds of conversations on a monthly basis, the plan is currently, yes, we'll have that, even though I won't be leading it myself because my life is turning even more crazy than it has been.
But in a good way, right?
I'm sorry?
But in a good way, right?
Yes, absolutely. But, just one of my challenges is to make sure that I have the right kind of balance that's sustainable for me and not get so over obligated that I start going crazy, or more crazy. So good morning, Jordan. Good to see you here today.
Hi, good to be with you guys. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late.
Yeah. Okay. Fabulous. Well, let's go around the room and give us an update on what has been happening over the last month. What have you accomplished? What kind of challenges have you run into? Primarily for business development, but that bleeds into every other part of our lives as well. So who wants to go first?
I'm happy to jump in.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I think a couple of you have responded to my post in Basecamp. So thank you for taking the time to look at the website and definitely give me some things to look at. So that's kind of been the biggest thing for me this past month is pushing that live and just getting some feedback from friends and family. And yeah, again, several of you have given me some things to consider as far as managing it goes. And I am very close to being certified in axiogenics. So that's kind of the goal to wrap up could be by the end of this month if I work hard and get a couple more things done.
Excellent. Yeah, that's always the big push, right? You know that, Suzanne. It's the big push to get through the certifications. So,
yeah.
Fabulous. Anything else?
Those two items are taking up a lot of my time and energy. I've just been doing some introduction calls with potential clients and learning from each one. So just trying to keep an open mind as I start to build a practice.
Okay. Jordan, I think that's something that people don't give enough credit to is the reflection after you've had a conversation, because you're like, oh, I screwed that up and I forgot to say that. And, I wish I would have gone a different direction. That's where the learning is. Mm-hmm. Because when you're in the moment, you're consumed by the moment and you don't have time to reflect. But afterwards, the little 5 minutes afterwards, thinking about, well, okay, so what would I do different next time? So good on you for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Okay, Matt.
So I think you guys all know I have a full-time job with SoundsTrue and their leadership development program. I was informed that I'm going to be going part-time in January. And
all right.
The funny thing is, I had kind of set May as my timeline for that. I'm getting enough work with BetterUp that that it's not going to be a problem. It's going to be an easy transition, and it actually, for me, turns out to be a gift. I can keep health insurance, although it's a little more expensive, but nice steady income, not quite what I need, but it's really kind of that kick in the pants to get out there and do it. And I don't know that I would have done this without that push.
You're very lucky, actually.
When I told my wife, she's like, well, this is what you asked for. I Like, I did. I really did. So a little butterflies in the stomach, but also, a decent safety net, and it's kind of unrolling exactly the way I had hoped. Like BetterUp can easily cover that while I build private practice. And along those lines, I'm working with a sales coach that Carl referred me to, and we're working through scripts and value statements, and like he is turning me into a salesperson. It's really, really going well. So I am super excited. I also got my DU student finally connected with me. I was waiting for him, and so there's a client. And I got accepted to run group coaching calls for, and it's Emerging Women is the name of it, but she's branching out into men as well. I'll be running group coaching calls for her. So I'm feeling good.
Yeah, we know what you're doing for the rest of the year now, man. You got lots of deadlines here.
Yep, pedal to the metal.
And how is with your new coach of sales and all the things of lead generation? I'm so excited to hear.
Yeah, that's going really well. We're doing a lot of foundation work. He's doing some lead gen at the moment, but I think that's going to really ramp up once I get my sales talk down and get some process around that. So I'm feeling good about it.
Fabulous. Okay, well, thanks so much. Got a lot of exciting stuff going on. Who's next?
I'll go next.
Okay, Suzanne.
Hey, Matt. Sounds like you got the cosmic kick in the pants. Huh?
Yeah,
That is great. When you said it, I just thought I kind of got goosebumps, and I thought that sounds like absolutely perfect timing. It really does, and it's not what you had imagined, but somehow I'm gonna guess that it's just it'll work out well. So, yay you. That's great. And you had kindly offered to share with me about your experience with the credentialing process with Newfield and the PCC, or I don't know, the credentialing with ICF. And I haven't taken you up on that, but I may still. I do have what I think is a good enough recording. I've been too perfectionistic about this, and at the unconference, I made a commitment that I'm going to stop letting perfectionism get in my way of just like holding me back from going forth with good enough. And I think this is good enough, and we'll see. But it was actually an hour and 20 seconds. And I talked with the Newfield liaison with ICF, and she said, if you just shave off the last 20 seconds, because I told her the last 20 seconds is basically me saying, good, great work, and now I'm going to turn off the recording. And I thought, if we lose that piece, it's not a problem. So Carl, bless him, helped me figure out how to edit out the last 20 seconds of a Zoom conversation, and it ends perfectly with "Yay you!" So
I thought that was the best place to cut it, right?
too.
Yeah.
It's great. Perfect. So I've been wading through all the transcribing options, and I just found out that Newfield doesn't require it yet. I think they're going to move to that, but apparently you don't have to have a transcribe, but they like it, and they think that it's preferable to the assessors. So I've seen anywhere from like about $25 for transcribing to $75. And so I think I'm going to go with Temi, TEMI.com, because the first one you do is free, and then after that, for an hour of transcription, it's actually, I think it winds up being about $15. So I can definitely.
As long as the quality's there, that's fabulous.
We'll see. I've heard from people who are pleased with it.
Yeah.
So
I think I spent like $40 when I did mine, and it's something you do once, so it's not a recurring expense. So I wasn't too worried about that.
yeah, let's hope.
Yeah.
And I've started with my DU student, and that's going well.
What
So
does it mean, DU?
oh, University of Denver. D is in Denver, U University, and it's a. I don't. Have you heard about that coaching engagement, Bettina? It's in the chapter. Our business development team has created this connection between ICF Colorado um, and DU, where we have a team of coaches who have volunteered to work with the DU executive MBA students and the MBA students, and we're actually getting $200 per session to do this. So that's a pretty darn good deal on our end, I think, too. And it's a great experience. I'm loving it. I did that last round. This is our second round.
Is it possible to still join? And I love working with youth.
You can join anytime, but they won't start with a new cohort until I think maybe next spring. But put your name in the pool for sure. I would reach out to Jonavi or Kelly Jenkins, Jonavi Brenner or Kelly Jenkins. They're pretty much running the show on that.
Fabulous. Anything else, Suzanne?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Who wants to go next? Okay, Beatrice.
Oh, sorry, Jenny. I can go. All right, so I'm back from vacation. Yoo-hoo. I spent 1 month in France with my family, which was great, but I thought I would work during my vacation and take the time to do this and that, and I did nothing. So just back now in October, and so I've started with a mentor coach. So I'm investing in myself for mentoring. We're gonna do work on coaching and sales as well. Mm-hmm. I've read this book about the prosperous coach, which I found very interesting. You probably know it. I didn't. So very
good.
Yeah.
It is very good, and it's very down to earth. I mean, it is very practical way of creating client, as he says in the book, and I found it very interesting because it's very I mean, it's possible. So I'm working on that. I had my first session as well with one of my students at DU as well. What else? I've sent this morning a proposal for a group for next year. I sent it to you, Suzanne, did I? About culture, what is culture shock, and how to deal with if you're an expat or if you work with expats. So would be a group I would be interesting to run with a few people for next year. And
I just got that. It looks really interesting.
Thank you. Well, I hope we'll have plenty of people in. And what else? Yeah, in terms of personal, so I just briefly went into the unconference. Unfortunately, I didn't quite understood the way it was working. So I was at work, so I had to drop quite early. But I want to work for myself on commitment. And so I signed up for a marathon in April. And I think that a commitment, personal commitment, that will help me as well in my work and as a coach of how to keep the commitment, how to work on it, and how to make it to your goal, even though it's a big goal. Well, so marathon in April and 100K in the fall, hopefully. So that will help me working on that commitment. And that's about it for me.
Fabulous. Great to see you back from vacation. So,
Thank you.
okay, who's next?
I have not been doing too much on my business. However, a colleague and I, who both got certified in ICS, who have been cognitive coaching trainers for many years, we decided to apply to the Learning Forward organization to give a seminar on reducing stress one conversation at a time. So it's for school-based coaches and taking a lot of ICF ideas, as well as a lot of my training on grief coaching into schools, and how to work with teachers who are feeling really stressed and grieving over various things. And then I've also I'm almost finished completing a book on how people live, a book proposal on how people live the Christian life. So I've been interviewing people and how they came to know Christ. And then I attended Colorado Christian Writers Conference, and one of the people I met with requested a proposal. So I keep thinking I'll be finished with it soon, and just thinking of more things to put in.
So does that include concepts of coaching in the Christian book, Jenny? Or is that two separate things?
Yeah, it doesn't really include,
Okay.
but it could. Good idea.
Well, I know that, there's a lot going on in the Christian coaching area. And so I didn't know how deeply you were going into that.
Really?
You just planted the idea for the sequel.
There we go.
Say more about what's going on in the Christian coaching area.
Well, so there's Walt has been very active with, I think it's CCNI, Christian Coaching Network International or something. And then there's PCCI. I've been hooked up with a professional Christian coaching something. And both of them do very high quality work. And they have a very active community around them of people that they have taught and stuff.
That's interesting. Yeah, I had applied for the DU coaching and didn't get selected, and spent a whole lot of money, getting the insurance and the LLC. And I guess I felt really discouraged, actually, which is kind of, it's like, do I even want to continue this thing? But I know I shouldn't let that little thing do it. But I put so much energy and time and effort into that it was just like, do I even want to be a coach? Do I even want to, move forward?
Well, as we talked about before, the primary thing is, what did you learn from the experiences, right? And it's that reflection that gives you the real value. So, okay. Anything else, Jenny?
Nope, that's it. No, just working at my day job.
Okay.
I just want to say I found it interesting that you were saying you haven't done that much around business development, but then there were these other things. And it seems to me that everything you mentioned is related to business development and getting your work out there and really kind of moving into sort of a slightly different focus, bringing your grief work in with that, but also kind of broadening it into a Christian-based coaching focus and some other things that you're working with. So it seems like you're doing some great business development, from what I'm hearing.
Oh, thank you, Suzanne.
Very cool. All right. We have Beth, you have your hand up. I saw you.
Yay, it's so nice to be seen. Yeah, I'm really loving hearing what everyone is doing, and quieting that part of my mind that is like wishing I was doing more. So I put out there a workshop for facilitators to help people facilitate circle groups and just to like a teaser to see if there was interest. And there were about 10 people who expressed interest. So I'm wanting to go forward with that. And I'm stuck with this like holiday dilemma of how to time things because I want to have a 4-week class after the teaser class. So I don't know if I just need to plunge ahead and set some dates. Hope people can make it. And then I need to keep moving forward on this workshop proposal for the League of Women Voters. I asked them for what do they need in their proposals because I've never written a proposal like this and they haven't told me. So I need to, if anyone has a resource, let me know or I'll Google it, I guess. I have a former client who I'm going to see today. She's doing some less frequent kind of follow-up work. So that's exciting. And I'm just kind of writing that whole time money dilemma. I need to get the mentoring hours for my certification. And my business hasn't really been bringing in the money. So I'm also working on getting a part-time job and getting some stability from that to help me move forward in my training. And I did a little bit of refining on an ideal client, went to a networking group. So chugging along. And I'm curious, I'm so curious about some of the things that Matt was saying and some others. So it's good to be here.
Hey, Beth, do you mind if I ask? I mean, I'm stuck on my ideal client. I have no idea. What networking group was helpful to you?
It was called Wellness Wednesdays. It's a Boulder group that's meeting in person and outside right now.
Yeah, so it meets in Boulder. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a meetup group?
It might be. I can do a little look up and put it in the chat if you want.
Okay.
So it's not ICF Colorado, then something else.
Right. It's like healers and different wellness people.
Okay. So is the focus on your ideal client, or did you just happen to do that one time?
Well, just hearing everybody go around the room and say what they were, I was like, oh, that's part of my ideal client. And I'm like, oh, that could be part of mine. So.
You know, I found that true, Beth, that when it's just a conversation rattling around inside your head, you never seem to make progress. It's when you actually having conversation with people and something comes out of your mouth and then you're feeling like, no, that was wrong. Let me try saying it again, and something comes out that's right. So.
And as far as the League of Women Voters proposal is concerned, you might Google how to respond to RFPs, and that's request for proposals. And I Googled that and a ton of stuff came up. Templates and examples and suggestions.
And I just completed a project for a major research university that involved delivering a series of workshops, and they requested a document called a scope of work, which can often, I think, serve a similar function in an organization where it's like, here's the detail of the like project deliverables and the timeline and like what each component costs. And so like, I'm not sure if that's synonymous for this client or not, but that's another like useful way to outline a project for somebody who's considering hiring you.
Thanks.
Cool. Thanks, Gabe. Okay. Bettina, Gabe, Chad. No.
Should I go? Everybody's
Yes,
quiet.
please.
So I got COVID and it was really strange because I faked. I was with my daughters. My husband was in Brazil and I was for 2 hours, like unconscious and conscious and coming back and forth. And it was so scary, having the feeling of not having control of my body. afraid of dying. And I when I came back and I watched my kids, I said, I want to leave. I really, really want to leave. I want to do everything I can to be here, have so much to do. And since then, I've been taking care of my health the past 3 weeks. And I feel like I'm 90% back. And it's so important nowadays for us to be aware that our time here on Earth is limited, and we have to do our best every day. So it was really good having COVID. So I was enrolled in the middle in a 30-day challenge to launch my app with the program Happiness Journey. And I've been able to do it 60 days already. I'm doing it slowly, but I'm really enjoying the path. I'm enjoying everything that I develop. I was able to find a ghostwriter, and she's amazing. She's a coach. She's my client. She was depressed because she had cancer, and she stopped working as a coach and found a job. And she found me and said, I want to get back to be a coach. I have so much knowledge. So we've been helping each other. And she's amazing because she has the experience as a coach. She speaks fluent English, and she's reviewing all my materials. So I'm very happy I found her. I was invited to be a local think tank facilitator. I completed the training yesterday. So I'm ready. We're going to have a chapter in English first, and then in 6 months, one in Spanish. So a big challenge for me to learn Spanish beginning next year. I was able to rearrange my schedule to accommodate 5 clients for SBDC, and I hope this will bring me a little bit of a constant income and credibility and knowledge working with small businesses. I found an amazing freelancer to work with my sales force, because it's really challenging working with technology. And whenever you have a specialist, things move faster. So I was able to enroll to a new service called AM Cards. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but it's a way for you to be very connected with your clients. You can send postcards for them directly. Any birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and when it is their birthday, they even send a cake for them. So you can automate all this process. And I think this strengthened a lot the relationship. My plan is every time I want to get in touch, like I close a contract, or if my client has a big win, celebrate with them in an offline way, not just sending an email. So I'm integrating AM Cards and my Journey Builder to send emails into Salesforce. And this will make a huge difference because everything will be automated. I just need to input the birthday on my CRM, and every day the system will run and already have the template for the birthday card, and AM Cards will send a birthday card for their house. So I love discovering those things.
Very cool. Anything else?
Yes. I decided to do my certification PCC in Brazil. So I'm traveling there next week, and Marco, it's part of ICF São Paulo chapter, and probably I'm going to have a coach there. It's going to be much easier. And I was really happy that I found a new client. That's my ideal client. Is a coach who moved from Switzerland to Colorado, and she speaks French, and she needs all the help to create her website, find clients, establish her business here, know how to work here. She has a knowledge how to work as a coach, but doesn't understand about the US market. So I'm really happy going to work with her. She's my ideal client. I love to help coaches in this situation. And I think the most rewarding thing was one of my clients saying that she achieved all her goals. So we worked together for 3 months. She was able to move to her own house. She was living with her parents. She was able to find a partner, and she increased her income for $6,000 a month. So I'm really, really proud we got her goals and I was able to make a difference in someone's life. So it's really rewarding receiving the feedback. It's working. I can't believe it's working. So, and I think your support and cheering up and being here, having a vulnerable place to show our mistakes, because we are humans, we do mistakes. It's very important. Thank you, Carl, for all this dedication during this year. Made a huge difference. It's a place where I don't need to wear masks. I love being around you guys, and thank you for the motivation.
And we're very glad that you survived the bout with COVID, because I know a lot of people that had far worse. So thank you for coming back to us. Okay, Gabe and Chad.
Great. Yeah, sorry, I haven't been here in a while. I had a really busy summer, and for some reason, these emails just weren't making it through the filter of stuff that I routinely delete every day. But I'm good to be back with you guys. I've had a bit of a whirlwind year, exceeded expectations so far in what I've tried to achieve in the business. I'm currently running my second group program. This time I have 20 people in it. The first one I had 5, which is really cool. And I've been doing more and more workshops for organizations. Actually, that was the scope of work thing I was just referring to. I just finished a 3rd in a series today for a research university. So it's been cool to see kind of these coaching concepts that I learned in sort of these like new agey kind of hippie communities having real traction with organizations and leaders and people who, you know, are working like, you know, regular business hours and regular jobs. It's like this stuff has traction. It really impacts people when they connect on the human level to some of these ideas and concepts. And it's been cool to like see that work. Kind of like Bettina was saying, like it has an impact. The feedback's been great from some of these. I'm hopeful this client's going to renew and double down on the series, because this was kind of a pilot of 3. And I had suggested doing like 6 or 12 and like kind of a bigger kind of learner journey or arc. And I think they're going to be more open to that. Ideally for Q1 next year or something like that. I'm feeling a little stretched though. I'm recognizing that I've been pushing the limits of myself in the work I've been doing. I have like close to 20 clients and doing this group program. I'm running these workshops. It's getting to the point where like I don't have time to do any of the back end stuff. And so like I'm looking for support around somebody to do kind of like some people here have mentioned virtual assistants. Like if you know somebody that you like work with and work well, you'd be willing to share their time with me. I'm looking to hire somebody who is competent in graphic design and writing and organizing information, because I want to create a continued sort of like social media presence and sharing the stuff that I'm learning and that's working for me. But I don't have the bandwidth to do it. I can't even keep up with my newsletter right now. And I'm also looking for a coach. I had ended my relationship with my coach over the summer just because it felt like the right thing to do. But I'm realizing that like in order to continue to grow, I need deeper support. And so looking for somebody who's got a combination of like business acumen and also a bit of a woo-woo side, who's willing to work with, you know, energy and deep understanding of the human experience, and there's a bit of a spiritual framing to their practice. And also who's like ready to kick my ass and also fight me, because I will fight you. Like, I promise you, I will be this person's most rewarding and most difficult client, because I don't take anybody's shit. And so there is like a need for me to have my energy matched in this person that I'm looking to work with. So if you know a coach who likes to kick people's asses, please let me know, because that I'm definitely feeling the need to call in some support, because I've been really, really successful in building this up on my own, and I'm recognizing like I'm just feel like I'm kind of reaching my limit. I'm starting to feel tired and burned out, and that's new for me in this work. I've up to this point felt like I had an unlimited potential to do this, and now I'm starting to recognize that there is a limit, which I knew, right? I knew there was.
Yeah,
I knew
that's fabulous. And I can send you some information for the virtual assistant that I worked with a few years ago. She was very good, but certainly there are a lot of those kind of people around. And so being able to connect up Also, there's a lot of people that do VA work that are here physically. And so if that is an advantage to be able to actually meet with somebody in person, then there's lots of possibilities too. It doesn't mean you have to outsource to a different country or anything.
Yeah, I was hoping to work with somebody in North America, ideally.
Yeah.
Gabe, there is an amazing company that I'm using called Social Bee. I can send you the link, and they're doing all my social media content. They create blog content. They help you organize all your social media strategies. Cost effective. They are located in Europe, so they bring new perspectives. It's really, really helpful. If you want, I can send you the link.
Yeah, I'd be happy to receive it, because my business has involved like almost zero social media. I've really grown most of my client base through networking and through facilitating events and workshops, which I've found to be really rewarding. But I've also, like, I want to backfill it because I know a lot of people are able to be successful on social, and I feel like I'm doing it the harder way, where it's like, I could probably create a Facebook ad. It's like, grow a 6-figure business without social media. It's like, I know how to do that, but like, I also want to cash in on what everybody else seems to be doing, and double down on getting the word out.
Okay. Make sure you capture the names that are in the chat there with Matt and Zora and stuff.
Awesome,
So,
thank you.
okay. Chad. And give us an update. Okay. Maybe Chad had to step away. Okay. Cool. So what issues or conversations would somebody like to put on the table for the group here today? How can we help you? Okay, Gabe.
I have a quick one, and this isn't just for me. I think this could be an interesting discussion for a group of coaches. Is like, what do you do in a moment when like a client, like, you just really can't help this person? Like, this client is clearly struggling in a way that's not relevant to the scope of work that you're doing, but they trust you and they want your support. And there's like a genuine like distance between you and where they are. I'd be curious to hear what others' perspectives are.
Boy, that's a deep one. Yeah, Matt.
Yeah, I get this one a fair bit with BetterUp, and it usually shows up with somebody with ADD, ADHD, bipolar disorder. Like, very often I'm presented with somebody that is kind of on that edge of being able to do the work, and it's really frustrating, and I don't always have a good place to send them. But what I do is I explain what coaching is in terms of looking forward as opposed to backward, and what we can do together. So I like to emphasize the positive and kind of keep bringing them back into that focus. But I've had several that I've just had to go to the support team at BetterUp and say, look, they're not ready for coaching. And I think you have to be ready to let some go sometimes. It's just it's not for everyone. And I could certainly, let you pay me and sit there and listen, but that's not what I want to do. That's not how I want to work with clients. And so I let them go.
Yeah, I guess building on that, Matt, having the conversation about resources beyond the two of us. Okay. And thinking that, that your goals are much larger than just the conversation that we're having here. And I'm not necessarily expert in everything. And, I enjoy our conversations and it's good, but what resources are out there that would really help you to get to the next level of what you're trying to achieve? And that's helpful sometimes, but I do think there's a lot of it that comes into the interview process up front of setting people's expectations, so that this isn't just like sitting around having a beer with somebody on a Friday afternoon. that's a great conversation, but that's not worth paying somebody this much money for. So.
What Carl said is very important. The initial conversation set up the pace of the coaching, in my opinion. And one question that I make at the end is, what is the commitment of this person to make this happen? And I learned to say no to the ones that said less than 90%. Because if they are 70%, if they are 50%, they're not ready for coaching, and then you're going to lose your time and they're going to lose their money and time. So it's really hard to say no when we want to grow our number of clients and we want to grow our income. But I learned to say no to the ones that are not 100% committed, because it's so important. Like I want to walk side by side with my clients, and I put my 100%. If they don't put their 100%, it won't work. So, and what I learned from this group here, Gabe, too, I'm not sure if you were on the conversation, is that it's very important to ask how the person wants to have your support, what type of push they like, what will make them work. And it's different for each client. So if you make this question at the beginning, you set the expectation that you're going to be there on the way they want.
I would tag on to what Bettina said, and I think it's worth exploring if they're at 70% instead of maybe 90 or wherever you feel like they're coachable, to explore what's in that gap between where they are and where you feel like they would be most coachable, or where they want to be in terms of motivation. And sometimes what's in that gap is a therapy related issue. And maybe it's an indication that they're not coachable at this point, but sometimes it's something that's very coachable and something that might even just be cleared with a deep and powerful coaching conversation. So it's worth exploring that gap.
Yeah, they might be stuck on that big gulp moment. It's like, holy crap, if I were committed to this, I'd have to like take some risks.
Right. And with the understanding that unless you're uncomfortable, you're probably not getting your money's worth.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to put that on the coffee mug.
I've told that to people. I'm like, we're not here to make you feel good.
Right.
Like I said, like when I was talking about kicking ass and the coaching, like that's kind of my style. I push people, and that's where I've noticed. It's weird because it's like never really happened until the last 3 weeks. I had one client who's like a really, really solid, good client, like have like kind of go into like burnout and sort of collapse on a call, and we needed to like stop and like end the call and like reschedule. And then I had another client who I knew was sort of like on the fence of coachability, like pretty much just show up with the symptoms of like a full-on panic attack, anxiety attack, could not answer questions, could not think clearly. We had to completely stop and process. And I had to say to her, like, I'm not sure this approach is going to work for you. And then that triggered her even more because she's like, well, what's wrong with me? I can't even do this right. You know, and then I had a third client who like hired me for something completely different in the business and then made a decision in her life that completely 180 shifted around the scope of the work that we were doing. And I felt completely out of my depth in this new context to serve her in the set of original goals that we had. So like everything that you guys are saying is interesting. And like with that additional context, it's kind of like a, what would you do? You know, because like I'm basically gonna fire all but one of them is like my position right now. Like the woman with anxiety needs specific support around that and maybe even medication. The woman who made these different choices that sort of changed the scope of work, like I'm really no longer a relevant support for her after in the outcomes she's seeking. And then the first one, it's like we need to maybe redesign the relationship to make it more effective and pace it to this person's needs and meeting them where they're at and being okay to like slow things down or shift the direction of stuff. But that's kind of where I landed with all of it. It's just difficult to be with all of it at once where you start to question your effectiveness. Like, oh my God, am I doing something wrong here?
I had one client that I was coaching him how to manage the company. Next week, I just met with him and he sold the company. It's like, oh my God. And then it was good. He had the tools that I taught him, help him make the quick decision. And he had another goal and wanted to work with me with another goal. Said, it really worked what you said. And I thought about it. I used everything. And then I decided to sell the company and going to start a new project. And I had another one that's a widow. We did 9 sessions. We were in the final line just for her to find a job. And she crashed. So she went to therapy. She's doing therapy. We're going to get together in 3 months and just recap. She needs the time. So sometimes another approach, it's important. And once they're ready, you can have them back. Just don't close the doors. Just support them in the journey and try to find what, well, like Suzanne said, what they need at this moment.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear others have had this experience of like coming off the rails a little bit, because it's like it's somebody's life, you know what I mean? And I think it's hard as a coach to not take a sense of responsibility for their outcomes. You're like, oh, I'm really in the trenches with this person. I'm deeply connected to them. And like, this woman like was launching a business, had a book publishing deal, like a successful podcast. Then she got pregnant from somebody she's been with for a month and decided to keep the baby. And it's like, I don't know what to, okay, like that you go, like, there's just a moment of like needing to let go and let live, I think.
It seems like we have to be, I think, kind of careful of also diagnosing people, like our clients, and kind of just staying in our lane in that sense too. So Gabe, like, I think you mentioned, a lot of the people that you work with, like, you really trust you. So I wonder if it's maybe also thinking about kind of building that network of, I don't know, like when I went through Coach U, we had a list of like probably 100 different types of coaches, and then like several different types of therapists. And so, yeah, maybe just like kind of relying on that trust that, you've established with them, and, like, hey, like, I really want the most for you. We're not necessarily like reaching the goals that we've put out there to reach. I really think, you might consider working with this person for a little bit. And it's not uncommon for some people to see a therapist and a coach at the same time. But yeah, that's just been a reminder for me too, because what I kind of heard you saying, Gabe, was like, as coaches, we want the most for the people that we work with, and we can't want more than they want. And ultimately it's, they have to be accountable and responsible for their own life. But yeah, it's definitely a tough thing that I've had to, I think, navigate through. So yeah, you're definitely not alone in that.
And one of the things I'm picking up here too is being able to actually say that things have shifted from where they were when we started. I think that can be really helpful for clients, because often when you're in the middle of this muddle, it's really hard to know what's going on and to say, okay, so it looks like what's going on is that your attention has shifted away from this thing that we working on. And what you really need to be spending your attention on now is something like this. It's not an area that I have much expertise in. It sounds like it might be time to look someplace else, but just being able to clarify that something has shifted, because I have worked with clients where that's like not clear at all while they're in it.
Yeah, thanks guys, because it's like all of these things are things that I've done to try to support these folks, and it's good to get these affirmations. I noticed Beth came off mute a while ago. I want to hear.
Yeah. I agree with, a lot of it has already been said, but I would just add on, I had a client who, I think she partly liked coaching because it wasn't diagnostic like psychology was. But as I got, and I put the clear distinctions at the beginning, but as we worked more and more together, she was having more crises in her life. And then she started like texting me, hey, there's a crisis. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't put it into my plan that I was going to be available over text. And I was starting to get like drawn in, because there was this whole like she needed to be rescued kind of story starting to happen. So then I was like, okay, I need to reestablish my boundaries, clarify my focus. let her know clearly this is the kind of thing I can do. This is the kind of thing I cannot do. And just be super supportive and like super detached about, I'm not emotionally invested. It's about her getting the help that she needs and me not being the right person for this particular set of help, And so I was just very supportive, very affirming, acknowledging all the steps that she had made, all the growth that she had made, because it was a little bit of an ego blow to her for me to say, I'm sorry, I have to put a boundary here. I can't do this. It was difficult. It was a very difficult conversation, but I feel like I showed up in a way that was supportive as her, staying in my lane and supportive of her as much as I could be. And I sent her 3 therapist recommendations that I really knew could be a good resource.
Yeah. So checking yourself and your own strengths, weaknesses, boundaries, all of that stuff. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Anything else you want to pull away from this conversation, Gabe?
No, only gratitude and saying like it sounds like there's a lot of common experience around this, and also recognizing I kind of screwed up my schedule. I have to pop off at noon.
Well, that means we'll spend the rest of the time talking about you. So,
but I figured chat about it.
And man, that guy's so screwed up. Holy cow!
What a mess.
Okay, thanks, Gabe. Good discussion there. We've got a little time. Who would like to bring up another topic?
I don't know if this is relevant to many people here, but Jordan, I'm not sure if you got my feedback about your website, but one of the things I shared in the thread that you had started about your launching your website was the question about charging by the hour for coaching versus charging for the engagement and the journey that is a part of that.
Yeah. So I went back and forth with the developer I worked with quite a bit on that, and it actually says in small print like I'll work with clients for a minimum of 3 months. So it is at that hourly rate, but with a kind of a bigger journey, I guess, in mind. But I actually need to, as I think most of you know, Judy Saba, and she's very axiogenics coach, and that's something I'm getting certified in. So I'm gonna have to revamp quite a bit on my website to bring some of that language in and bring the actual self-leadership program attached to axiogenics into it. So I'll be doing some restructuring on definitely that model. But yeah, I definitely understand the question. I think that's likely what people are gonna like see because it's huge, and then right underneath it, probably missing like 3 months minimum.
Yeah. So I'm hearing several things that are really big topics for people when they're starting out. One is, do you charge by the hour, charge by the month, charge by engagement, or how does that work? Second one is, should you put your rates on your website or not?
Right.
That's a big question. And then the third one was the minimum commitment. So where I've ended up, so I started out with one philosophy 10 years ago, and where I am currently is we do not put the rates on the website because we did run into a few cases where people were having weird conversations about that. And it's like, okay, I don't want to deal with it. I do have a minimum commitment. For me, it's 4 months, but essentially the same thing. It's not paid in advance, by the way. It's still paid by the month. And then I also charge by the month, not by the time. So the way I say it is often like, well, so I like meeting with people every other week. Okay, it's a good pattern. gives you enough time to work on stuff. It's great. So that's what I prefer. And typically a meeting would be on the order of 45 minutes. Okay, so you notice that's a little bit vague there as exactly how long is a meeting. If people are paying the higher rate, I'll say that it's more like an hour to an hour and a quarter. And then I do say I have a minimum requirement of 4 months. And the reason why is just because I need to work with people who are that committed to themselves and their business, and not just, hey, let's try a couple of sessions and see what magic results, because coaching is not magic. You're not going to get miracles in 2 sessions. It takes some time to build up. And so that's the conversation that I have. And it's typically like a 4 or 5 minute conversation when we get to that stage of the sales conversation. What do others do?
I have packages for 3 months online, 3 months in person, and 6 months in person. Normally 6 months is for an entrepreneur who is starting a business. It's really hard to do everything in 3 months. So I ask for the commitment at least of 6 months to be able to help them in this journey of building a website, choosing a CRM, do the foundation of the business, because I do a little bit of mentoring too, not just coaching. But I put my prices on the website, but I try at the first session to be very clear, honest. I have a printout with my packages that I show them. Those are the options, and they choose right away. And I give discounts sometimes to people that I truly want to work with, like an upgrade. For example, they buy the less expensive package and I do an upgrade for them. But I put my prices out there. And once the package is finished on the contract agreement, I have the hourly rate if they want to keep doing sessions, the cost per session. So it was based on what we have agreed, and they can continue. And I had just 2 clients right now that were working with me for 6 months. And now they pay individually for the sessions whenever they need.
It sounds like you charge by the session in that case, not by the hour, even though they may map very
I meet
closely.
with them once a week and they pay me monthly like you.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Every month. But once the package is finished, I am able to create a price per session just to continue and giving them a follow-up if they need something specific, because we've been together for such a long time, understand about their business, their challenges. Sometimes they need a specific help. They know how much it will cost and how it will work.
Cool.
I'm going through this with my sales coach right now, and what I'm coming up with is a 3-month package that has to be paid up front, and then a 6-month package, and you can either pay that up front or pay it monthly. And the monthly is a little bit more just because I have to send out more invoices. I have decided not to post pricing. The main reason is that when someone wants coaching, they could be like, well, I want to be a better leader for my team. And that's what they've got in their head when they're shopping. And then they see the price tag and they say, well, it's going to cost me that much to be a better leader. But you haven't drilled down to the emotional thing that they're looking to fix at that level. So when they see that price, they're equating it with being a better leader. Maybe that's a good value, maybe it's not. But if you get to where it's like, I'm going to help you get over your insecurities so you can show up as a trusted, confident leader, now there's an emotional connection and the value's a lot higher. That's where I am with it. But I know publish the price or not is it's back and forth. It's like Apple versus PC, right?
I think that brings up, just a lot of, I think I share that perspective with you, Matt, of really just finding a way to have a first conversation. And I think that's where a lot of people, like just even looking at the analytics on my website, you know, a lot of people get to that page and then it's, you know, they don't get in touch. So it's hard to, I think, create just real tangible, like here's what you're gonna get with coaching, right? Because everyone's so unique and every situation is so different, and it's just a matter of exactly what you said, like really connecting to, you know, that leader and their desires specifically. And it's hard to put that in a price tag. So yeah, I'm leaning towards removing that as well, and once I kind of restructure everything. So yeah, I really appreciate your question, Suzanne, and yeah, the perspective that's been offered so far.
Jordan,
You
is
know,
please go, Carl.
You know, Jordan, one of the things that I see is that you're right. There's a certain point at which people bounce away from the website, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're gone. They could be off thinking about it, because coaching can be a big decision for people.
Yeah.
You know, not just in money, but also time and taking some risk and realizing that you've got to make some personal changes that are kind of deep, right? So having people bounce off the page is not necessarily a bad thing, but I like having alternative ways that people can keep in touch. And so making it really easy to sign up for the weekly newsletter, to get a couple of free downloads, those kinds of things seem to help a lot, for the people who are still thinking about it and interested, to have a way that it's like, okay, I'm going to follow this guy, and maybe I'll be able to make a decision next year or something.
Right.
So Bettina, you were saying?
Yes, there are different ways for you to attract clients, but one of the ways that I learned is if you're interacting one by one or even in social media, it's much easier for you to show interest in their problem than trying to sell yourself. And the way for you to learn more about the client is by asking them questions. So I normally create forms, and I can I share my screen here, Carl?
Sure, yeah.
Where is it? Okay, sorry. Found it. So this is a form for my program Happiness Journey. It's really simple to create. And after this form, whenever they finish answering those questions, it comes a link for them to schedule a call with me. So the process is showing up whenever you want, in person or online, talking about your ideas, your programs. And when somebody comments, you said, hey, I want to learn more about you. Do you mind filling up this form? Whenever they finish, you invite them for a one-on-one with you. Then you go deeply. Just after those steps, then they go to the website, because you already had a chance to show your willingness to understand their problem, explain how is your approach, and then you talk about pricing. And the website is just going to be a support for all this journey.
And one thing I've been learning is to be okay with setting the price a little bit high, and then you have room to negotiate back down. Like Bettina was saying, if a client really interests you, you can make some accommodation.
And you get to decide whether or not you're willing to negotiate on your price.
Yeah.
For some people, that's a no-brainer. They just don't negotiate. And then other people have a sliding scale. Other people will give a discount if you pay for the whole engagement in advance. Other people require that you pay in advance anyway. And then some people will charge by the session and others by the month. It's such a range.
Yeah.
I did some mistakes of giving discount without the client asking, because I was so excited to get, and the client didn't need a discount. So it's very.
Yeah, mine has ended up getting simpler over time. So I have two basic rates that I charge for different situations, different clients, and then I have a nonprofit discount. I don't really have any pay upfront options. It's just I'll bill your credit card on the first day of the month, and that's the way it works. And it just makes the conversation simpler. And I don't really negotiate because I don't like negotiating. I find it to be annoying, personally, so I just don't do that.
Matt, something that really worked for me when presenting this discount to receive upfront is saying, this is my price, you pay monthly. At your own convenience, I will issue the invoice. But I have to tell you, the clients who decide to pay in advance, they are the most committed ones, and they achieve their success really faster because they already committed, they paid, so they put all the effort. So you can decide which one you want to be. And the clients, oh no, I prefer to pay in advance.
And then comes the question of, if for some reason they decide this isn't working for them, or you decide to fire them or whatever, you have to get clear up front on your policy about refunds.
Yeah, has to be on the
well. Yeah.
Well, see, that's a nice thing about paying by the month is then I don't have to give refunds. You've paid for this month. We're going to have 2 or 3 sessions this month, and then next month we move on. So I haven't had a high rate of people bailing on me, or doing it for 2 months and then deciding, oh, I want to bail. I know you had a 4-month commitment, but it's not for me. I've worked on how to get the right conversation up front so that people won't do that, so that when they get started, then they are committed.
The good part of receiving advance whenever you're starting coaching is that we need to do a lot of investments on the beginning, the website, tools, in your trainings, and having a coach. So having this money in advance helped a lot for you to invest in yourself and in your business, and then you're able to build a consistent growth. You're more advanced, Carl, in my opinion. You have a consistent client, Suzanne, as well. When you're beginners, it's very important to reinvest in the business.
Yeah, Beatrice.
Yeah, I have a different approach. I sell by session, like a 5-session or 10-session package, because sometimes on 3, I want to leave the client the flexibility of the pace they want to use a session, because some people want to have 1 session a week, or maybe once a fortnight or something like that. So I sell like 10 sessions, and they have 3 or 4 months to use them, but they choose the pace they want to take. And I've got as well a flexible package, which is 3 hours of coaching, and they choose if they want 60 minutes, 45 minutes, or 20 minutes coaching. So it changes the rhythm of the session, but some people have 1 hour to give, or some people prefer to have a 20-minute conversation. So I have this opportunity as well to have, you buy 3 hours, but then you choose the way you want to use your 3 hours. So that's a choice I made.
And I think for me, the reason why I don't charge generally an hourly rate, unless, for instance, a particular third-party payment, like a company is paying for the coaching and they will only do an hourly rate, that's a whole different story. But if it's just between me and a client, the reason I charge for the coaching engagement is because for me, it's not just about the sessions. And what happens between in the space between sessions is sometimes even more important than what happens during the session. And it's a journey that they show up for, I show up for, and that we engage in. And they can connect with me between sessions by email, brief phone calls, and I set boundaries on what that means, or text messages even. And in all these years, I mean, I've been coaching for many, many years, and I've never had a client take advantage of me on that generous offer to connect in between. I actually encourage them to connect, to keep the journey going, and to see it as, a space that I'm holding with them, in terms of the journey that we are walking together. So it feels to me like it's important to call it out that this is what you pay is an investment in a journey, not an hourly thing that only matters when we're talking, or that only happens when we're talking. So that's my philosophy on it.
Yeah, appreciate you sharing that. So are you willing to share, I guess, like, does it depend on what you want to work on, or that client wants to work on, is how you decide like your price? Or is it the same price like for the engagement, depending on how long you guys work together?
Some clients want to work every week, and sometimes we'll do like the first 3 months are weekly, and then we switch over. The first month is weekly, and then we just kind of look up front about what might be most useful, and we can change that up if we need to. But if it's more intensive, like every week or twice a week, even to start it, to kick it off, then it's going to be that will change the rate. But it doesn't mean it's any less of a journey. It's just the journey is configured a little differently and requires a little more of my time and attention, if it's more sessions each time, per month.
Okay.
Well, this has been a fantastic conversation. It's one of the tougher ones, but when we're talking business development, it's important we be able to think through this, and recognize that everybody has different approaches. So, okay, let's do our wrap up. We've got 15 minutes, and let's go around the room again. Tell us what it is that you're going to be working on for the next month. What are you taking away from today? Who wants to go first?
Well, for me, it's hopefully completing that PCC loop. And how long that's going to take at this point depends in large part on the powers that be. How long Newfield's going to take to process my application, how long after that it's going to take ICF. I think it's going to be a lot faster on the ICF end from what I've heard. Newfield, yeah. I'm hearing can take a while, so we'll see. But I'm in the I hope the home stretch on that.
Okay.
That's excellent. My big focus.
Yeah, let's get that sucker done before Christmas, right?
Oh, God, please. My birthday is December 22nd, and I'd really like to have it done before that.
That's a great, because the birthday won't slip schedule. So you've got that fixed deadline there.
It is what it is, yeah. So as a birthday present to myself.
Yeah, fabulous. Excellent. Okay, who's next? Okay, Beth.
Continue moving forward with the League of Women Voters presentation and facilitating circle groups. Those are my focus. I have a few others on the periphery, but.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, that's sounds like some real exciting possibilities there with both of those. That's cool. So what is it you're proposing to the League?
So there's a training on microaggressions is one piece, so equity and diversity work.
Oh,
and
nice.
Then there's another training related to communication across organizations that I'm also going to present to them.
Nice. Fabulous. Okay. Very cool. Who's next?
And I just want to mention that like doing talks is something I want to do to grow my business and then get more business off of people who like the talks. So
yeah, it's a powerful way to do it. I've found it to be much more powerful than writing a book. So All right, Beatrice, I saw your hand.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be working on how to tell my story and how to engage client, because I found like a very simple question can put me away, like so tell me about yourself, or how did you become a coach, or something like that, and it's like, okay, I didn't think it through really properly. So it's and I find that when you engage with new clients, they really want to know you, like they want to hear your passion and where you come from and what's your experience. So I need to think it better, and looking around and engaging in new relationship to create clients. So that's my big goal for the month.
Okay, awesome. Who's next?
I'll go. I have a lot of continued work with my sales coach. We're working on how to handle objections during the sales call, how to pitch value statements, probably be revamping some website content, and I gotta get my head around some kind of group coaching program that I want to offer, and no idea other than that. So I got a busy month coming up.
Boy, sounds like it. Yeah. All right.
By the way, I think there's going to be a group, an education group with ICF Colorado this coming year on group coaching. And part of that process is creating a coaching group.
Oh, sweet. I'll look out
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'm real excited about that one. That looks
Me too.
super cool. Okay, who's next?
Boy, that discussion about getting rid of clients, there's one person I'm working with, I'm coaching him on his new job, or finding a job and everything. And then, and it never seems to go anywhere. And, like, he said he would do this. And then last time he said, well, he's not permitted to work. And like, do I ask him why? Do I go, this is pointless for us to, so I'll talk to him. Also, I'll find out more about Christian coaching organizations. Thank you, Carl. That was helpful. And then we're also going to include information about polarity coaching in our presentation at the Learning Forward conference. So I'll be learning more about, I have a bunch of books on polarity management and then a book on polarity coaching specifically. So that will be my focus. And then also, like, why haven't I done anything? I mean, although thank you, Suzanne, for telling me I really have done more than I think. No, it's my figuring out my idea. I made a list of questions, figuring out my ideal client, figuring out how to charge, figuring out what to charge, figuring out how I can get a website set up where I turn, et cetera. And then I need to have the time to devote to getting things set up, and then the time to actually really do more coaching than I'm doing.
Boy, that sounds like some great coaching conversations. Like for you to pursue with another coach.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of coaches hanging around. So
yeah, I mean, usually I'm like, okay, I'd make a decision, I go after it, I do it. My husband called me a bulldog, but for whatever reason, I haven't. But I've led a lot of other things. Yet I'm still here. So thank you so much for having this space for us.
Glad you're still here.
Thanks, Suzanne. Still learning. And
it would be a loss to your potential clients if you decide to check out, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, who's next?
I can jump in. I just wanted to say, thank you to this group. And definitely walk away, I think, just with a lot of value added. So appreciate all of you and your wisdom. And each time I jump into one of these ICF conversations, it's just, you can kind of feel the community and that feeling. So I appreciate that. I'll be working on getting certified in axiogenics. That's like the top priority for me. So I need to kind of transcribe a couple of conversations, and then I have to finish up a written exam to do that. And then I will likely be meeting with someone to do some revamping on my and strategizing on my website this Friday, actually. So that's coming up quick. And then I have a presentation to the Urban League of Young Professionals middle of this month, next month. So those are the three things I'll be pretty focused on.
How large a group is that?
I've been told from anywhere from 20 to 100 people.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it slows down a little bit around the holidays, is my understanding. Yeah, either way, I just want to make sure I'm prepared for as best as I can be to just share with people what I'm doing, what I hope to provide for people.
Okay. Very nice. Okay, Bettina.
I will try to slow down. That's so important. So I'm gonna go a week to Brazil, and I have to finish the launch of my app, Happiness Journey. It's planned to be launched after Thanksgiving, so I'm working on developing the content. I have to figure out if my coaching school in Brazil is affiliated to ICF to be able to use all the hours I study there. If not, I need to choose another coaching school and do everything again.
You know that you're going to need it to be an ACTP ideally, right?
What does that mean?
So that's the program level in terms of credentialing approval from ICF. That's the level at which they just accept the training that you've gotten as enough, and all you need to do is submit your hours to the training program itself, and then they submit to ICF, or you can submit to ICF the actual credential, proof of credential from an ACTP approved program. And then from there, all you have to do is the coach knowledge assessment, basically. And then I think they basically approve your PCC.
Yeah, it makes the process much easier.
It does.
There is a way to do it if you just have coach training hours outside of ICF, and that's called the portfolio method. So if you look into that, and that you have to do more of the work, but
That's a lot more complicated. Yeah.
well, but that's what I did twice, and
Okay.
so
Oh, cool.
it's possible. But you know, you have to do a good job of tracking all your hours and tracking all your clients and all this kind of stuff. It's more work on your part, but it's not like you have to throw away all the training hours, Bettina. You know,
Right.
if you've got good quality coach training, then you can make that count.
Absolutely. And you can find this information at the ICF website, the distinctions between the different levels of credentialing programs and how they're viewed and what's required of you for each level. There's ACTP and AST something H.
Yeah, I think you'd be in the portfolio path.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But anyway, you can check that out. I'm sure your school has a little logo on it that says, "We are ICF ACTP," and if they don't have that, then.
Okay. Yeah, but thank you, Carl. Since from the beginning, you tell me that it was important to track the hours and the trainings, and I have 420 coaching hours already. So I think the hours won't be a problem. It's
Yay.
just having everything. Thank you for the advice. And I will commit also to follow up with my two potential clients, JBS, to implement Halos. I'm very happy we're finishing our certification and anxious to put in practice. Thank you, guys.
Okay, fabulous. And yeah, so I'm also doing the Halos method training that Bettina is talking about. Really a good, solid, powerful tool. They're in the process of translating it from Portuguese to English and stuff like that. So the English can be a little bit fractured at times, but it's the content is high quality, and I appreciate that. So doing that, I've got my award from the Chamber of Commerce coming up in a few weeks, and so have to arrange some of that. Have one of my clients to follow up with that is on, they've been on hiatus for a few months, and because their business situation changed, a lot of very interesting things going on, and so they decided to suspend our coaching for a little while. And so I'm generally just sort of keeping in touch with them and got to make sure that things are bubbling along. But great people, great little business. So, okay, fabulous. Remember, we have one more session this year, and start looking out for the education groups that Suzanne will be announcing over the course of the next month or whatever. She's got a whole program around that. And there's some good stuff happening. As always, there's a lot of great new energy coming out of these education groups. They are a really special thing that we do in this chapter. I don't know of anybody else that does a program like this. So anyway, keep your eyes peeled for that, and we will see you the day before Thanksgiving. So that's our last session. All right, take care, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Carl.
Carl.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you.
Carol.
See ya. Bye.
Take care, everyone.